Many people think of twin flames as constantly pulling apart and coming back together. This energy dynamic is sometimes called the push-pull, the running and the chasing. We use a lot of different terms to define this, but what we're really talking about is this dynamic of coming together in the physical in some way with our twin flame for a period of time, and then experiencing periods of time in between where in the physical world we are very separated or distanced from them in some way. There is either an emotional, a mental, or a physical disconnect between us in some sense. Now, a constant, regardless of whether we are in that coming together time or that pulling apart time, always inherently there is connection that exists. In fact, the most intense, powerful, magnetic connection we can exist with another soul on this planet. And I spoke more on that in my second podcast coming up today, which is twin flame relationship versus twin flame connection. So if you haven't yet explored that, be sure to listen to that first to give us some context for what we are talking about here. Because the twin flame relationship and the twin flame connection are very different things. The connection is the bond that exists energetically between us and our twin flame always. When I talk about not being able to let go of a twin flame completely or sever this connection, I am literally referring to the connection aspect, that it is impossible to cut ties of the connection with our twin flame because we didn't create them to begin with. They have always inherently existed. That connection predates this lifetime. In fact, it dates back to the very origin of our soul. This person is the other aspect of ourselves, the yin to the yang, the masculine to our feminine, or vice versa. There is an inherent connection energetically that simply just is, that defies being defined or understood through concrete physical words or explanations, even though, of course, we do often try from our ego's perspective to understand it and define it through these concrete terms to give us a sense of groundedness, of stability, that stability and validation that the ego is always longing for. But again, there's more on that in my other podcast. But in this video specifically, I want to talk about layers of twin flame separation and also why twin flame separation is actually at times for certain twin flame couples a necessary thing and not even a negative aspect of this journey. Even though at times, of course, we can experience a lot of painful, emotionally and physically uncomfortable sensations when we are perceiving that disconnect. That is the key here. Separation is a perceived disconnect, not a true disconnect. But in spite of those sensations that we have during separation that are very real and can be very uncomfortable to our conscious physical self, I really want to redefine or give us a better understanding of twin flame separation, particularly how it can happen in layers or phases. Because very often we talk about different stages of the twin flame journey, and these stages can be really helpful for applying some kind of physical terminology or understanding to these energetic experiences. But at the end of the day, these stages are not linear. When we talk about stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, we're really talking about different kinds of energy dynamics we tend to experience in the physical with our twin flame, but they don't necessarily happen in a certain set order. In fact, each of us is on a very unique and highly individualized journey that we pre-decided on a soul level with our twin flame, including these times of sacred space between us in the physical. But before I get into more details on that, I do want to introduce myself to anyone who is new. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. If you do enjoy twin flame content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell so you get updated when I post new videos. I also create twin flame reading videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to check back on my channel during those times for those readings. So, what do I mean by layers of separation? I mean that the push-pull dynamic we talk about within twin flame connection is really not so much a negative dynamic of, oh, I'm pushing my twin flame away, I am, pulling away from them, or I'm chasing them, as much as it is we are catalyzing one another's healing process by having periods of time where we spotlight certain wounds, certain negative energy patterns within one another, and then periods of time where we then experience a separation in the physical, emotionally, mentally, or physically for the purpose of addressing and working through these negative energy patterns, these so-called triggers that came up during those periods of time where we were physically in the 3D more connected in that twin flame relationship aspect. So what is the purpose of this? This is, again, purpose number one, to catalyze our soul's growth and evolution. The only way we can evolve on a soul level is through experiencing the duality within ourselves, the light, the dark, and then transmuting that darkness by becoming conscious of it. In fact, that is why we choose to come here to experience being human on this planet in this lifetime. We came here to take on, I want to call it burden, but I know that's such a negative word, to take on our shoulders certain kinds of collective or family negative patterns or belief systems or ideas that are stored within us, so that we can, through the process of our lifetime here, become conscious of these things, and by becoming conscious of them, then transmute them, transmuting darkness into light. That is our role here as light workers. That is literally the definition of light working, to transmute the darkness into light. And light workers always must begin by transmuting their own darkness, which is why light workers in general tend to experience very challenging circumstances growing up in their lifetime, either through their family experiences or through early childhood, early adult experiences. They choose on a soul level to take on a great deal of darkness in order to do a great deal of healing and transmutation upon themselves, their family's line, and the planet collectively. Now, most twin flames will identify with being light workers because they do tend to, as ancient souls who are here for a very catalyzed soul experience, a very sped up soul evolution, they do tend to take on a greater amount of challenges, obstacles, so-called darkness, dark circumstances in their lifetime, again, in order to catalyze the growth by doing a greater deal of light working within themselves, becoming conscious of more negative patterns within their family and collectively for the planet by actually experiencing them in their self, in their physical body through their own experiences and emotions. Now, how does this play into the twin flame connection? Well, our twin flame shares an integral role in supporting us along this spiritual awakening process through this lifetime. But when I use the word support, I know that many would say that it doesn't feel like support because there can be a lot of triggering that happens within the twin flame connection. But the thing about this kind of support we always are receiving from our twin flame is that it is not some kind of conscious support that we often think of from a physical perspective, where we think of someone saying the right words, doing the right things. This is an energetic support. It is inherent. They cannot help but energetically support us because we are mirroring one another energetically. So this means that whenever we notice something within ourselves heal or shift or balance something within ourselves or our life, our twin flame supports us by reflecting that shift. And the same goes in the reverse. When our twin heals or changes or shifts something within themselves, we support them by mirroring that change or shift. We are essentially a team in this spiritual awakening process through life because we can't be otherwise, because we are intrinsically connected to one another. So these layers of separation, when we are talking about wanting to create a physical 3D manifested union state with our twin flame, I feel one of the issues with the conversation around this, and I've been guilty of this myself, is talking about reunion, twin flame reunion, or physical union as some kind of an endpoint, at which point everything afterwards is perfectly stabilized, healed, balanced, complete. But the truth is that in this lifetime, if we aren't healing and growing, we aren't living. The entire purpose of living is to experience growth and expansion. And the only way we can expand is by continuing this process of recognizing that darkness, those triggers, those pain points within ourselves, and continuing to, again, transmute that darkness into light, and therefore expanding ourselves on a soul level. So with twin flames, separation isn't a period of time that has a beginning and an end date. It is a necessary space that occurs whenever some kind of triggering or spotlighting of a certain wound or negative pattern has taken place. And now there is a need to remove fixation on the physical 3D component of the twin flame relationship in order to focus solely and exclusively on the healing, on healing the energy dynamic within, on coming into balance within the self and harmony within the self, and therefore within the 5D aspect of this twin flame connection. So the reason I say removing fixation is because very often the only way that we can fully shift our focus from the physical 3D manifested triggering back and forth, or what we would label as issues or problems that arise within our twin flame relationship, the only way that we can shift our focus away from this at times is by having this pause in the physical, is by turning our attention away from that physical aspect, meaning that at times we may physically be apart from our twin flame. We may emotionally feel a kind of distance from them. We may be changing the label of our physical connection with them. We may go through what some would call a breakup, or whatever the case may be. But regardless of what we are doing through this separation that is creating this perceived separation, what's really going on here is we are following through on our soul intentions on a 5D level that we created with our twin flame, where we promised one another to always catalyze the other's healing and energetically support them through the healing process. And sometimes this energetic support looks like allowing some kind of a distance in the physical 3D world that then creates the space to focus more solely, exclusively, and intensely on the connection aspect and on the healing process. Because very often, when we are together with our twin flame in the physical, because this connection is so intense and because we mirror one another so perfectly, what can often happen is twin flame energy can really work itself in either direction. This mirroring back and forth, if you are both healed and positive and balanced, or in kind of a balanced, positive headspace, twin flames together in the physical can really have a powerful energetic effect on one another. This is where you find yourself able to talk for hours with your twin flame without stopping, feeling as though you're on some kind of an energetic high with them. It feels like an energetic high because it literally is. You are working each other up into this white heat of love and happiness and pure ecstasy. But because of this mirroring, it can also work the other direction as well. When you are showing some kind of a wound, some kind of a negative pattern within yourself, that in turn will then trigger or be mirrored by your twin flame that will then trigger you, and you will mirror it back even more intensely. And you can see where this can work down or in a negative direction just as intensely as it can work in a positive direction. So because of this, when twin flames get into this state of beginning to trigger one another, beginning to mirror one another intensely like this, sometimes it is necessary for them to take some kind of a pause to release that fixation on the physical component of that mirroring and triggering, and really get back to the core of themselves, really balance themselves within before having that more intensified 3D interaction or connection with their twin flame in the physical. So I know that all of this is really a high level conversation, but I also feel that it's really important to share, especially right now on the planet, because through my twin flame readings, if you've been following those, I've channeled a lot of collective energy around the idea of sudden separation happening for a lot of twin flames, or periods of time where they're feeling emotional distance from one another, or even a physical distance. And at times I know that that can feel really hopeless, or it can feel as though something has gone wrong. We have a tendency to self-judge or project judgment outwards towards our twin during these times of separation, which is why I feel it's all the more important to really redefine separation as a perceived disconnect that is unconsciously created by our soul and our twin flame's soul to give us a sacred space to heal, to balance within ourselves, to remove our focus from all of those things manifesting in the physical between us and our twin, and return that focus to ourselves, to that inner knowing within ourselves. If you are finding yourself struggling with this, or you would like a tool to assist you along the way, I've created a twin flame surrender subliminal meditation that is really powerful for shifting you from chaos consciousness to total surrender state within your twin flame connection. This subliminal is created to help you not only surrender fully your expectations, attachments to outcomes, the fears and doubts and uncertainties that come from the ego, but also in the process to forge the energy bond, the energetic union, to stabilize that energy union in the 5D with your twin flame. This comes from my website, soundandsoulful.com. So as you can see on the screen, on this website, I've created over 100 subliminals for all areas of life. So I have subliminals for physical appearance changes, for mood shifts like confidence and happiness, for material manifestations like money and business success, for love and relationships, and of course for twin flames specifically. This twin flame surrender subliminal is linked in the pinned comment and description box. You can try out this Subliminal or any that I've created completely free for 7 days by creating a free trial account on my website. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who are here on this channel, not just passively listening, but quite literally co-creators here, soul family here on this channel. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet for twin flame updates, and also to follow me on Instagram at Magnetize Yourself. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will talk to you again in the next podcast.